Naki Adamak Skanaktani Nadanako Asto Gipidaki. My name is Robin Healy. I work for the Kainai Transition Community Center. I'm the anti-human trafficking ambassador. My objective basically is to continue spreading awareness about this hidden, pervasive issue of human trafficking. We think that it's not happening, but it's happening more than people know.
Detective Jennifer Surratt. I'm with the Calgary Police Service, but I work for Alert right now. Part of my role as Indigenous Engagement Officer is to bring awareness and education to the Indigenous communities of Treaty 7. A lot of people that we talk to don't even know what human trafficking is. They're unaware. They think it's being kidnapped and being thrown into the back of a truck. But in reality, a lot of these girls are being sexually exploited and they don't even know it.
When people say human trafficking, the first thing they think of is people being brought in from other countries. And it's like, no. It's in the high schools here. It's in the group homes here. It's in your backyard.
Sergeant Roland Missick, 20 years of service with the RCMP. Been in the role of the K-Division Human Trafficking Unit Provincial Coordinator since February 2023. In 20 years of doing police work, this is probably the most disturbing crime that I've had the ability to be involved in tackling. Even working in homicide for 10 years. With trafficking, it is very, very hard to wrap your head around how someone could treat another human being that way. And a lot of times, even the ones that are being trafficked will completely deny it because they are so brainwashed into thinking that this individual is actually helping them, when in fact, he's just setting the trap.
My name is Stephanie Harp. I'm born and raised here in Edmonton and Fort McMurray. Here in Edmonton, I had met someone who took really, really good care of me, and that really too good to be true kind of thing. A lot of gifts, all the drinks I wanted to drink. You know, they're hunting and they look at you as the prey.
They start out slow. They know how to maneuver and they know how to work. You got a little popcorn pimp coming around, you know, making the advances, you know, to a young girl at a powwow saying, you know, oh, you're so cute, you know, grooming them right off the hop.
You have to give them the Academy Award of being such a great actor. He presented himself as safe. I thought I was in love. That's the trickery. That's the luring. That's the grooming.
My Indian name is Aksapawaka, which means always traveling. And my English name is Tyler Oka. I am a Blood Tribe member, and I am the manager of Kainai Community Corrections underneath the Kainai Transition Center Society. It is such a problem in our community and that people aren't aware of. I've talked to a lot of people and they don't understand it, they don't know about it, and they have a lot of questions, and it needs to be addressed.
The bison, they'll just keep walking into the storm. They'll basically face the storm, and then they're always going, like they're doing right now. They're going that way towards where the storm is coming from.
I thought that was interesting about them. They go into the storm.
Yeah.
You know, they don't just sit and wait for it to pass by and.
Mike Brewstead. I'm from the Blood Reserve. I come from the Fish Eater clan. And and I live close by to these buffalo that eat near. I'm an elder for the Sacred Horn Society that has been going on for thousands of years. When I talk about the buffalo, it's real. I sing the songs of the buffalo. Every morning I pass these buffalo, I pray to them. I prayed yesterday morning and this morning to them. Who is causing this human trafficking? Men and women that have never been found. The numbers are staggering. Who's doing this?
I spent about 2.5 years in organized crime, and I've also worked in the drug unit. I liken human trafficking to organized crime in the sense that it's run like a business. So when you think of traditional organized crime, you think of guns and drugs. It's a very covert operation. Where human trafficking, their commodity isn't drugs and guns, but their commodity is a human being, and it's out in the open. They're in cars, they're in traffic stops, they're in restaurants together, and it makes a lot of money. So human trafficking, what I've learned, makes a lot more money than selling some drugs on the side.
On the pimp side, it's a bit of a mixed bag of individual traffickers who may be just trafficking a girlfriend or one or two people. Could be somebody who is involved in more of an organized trafficking type of situation. In that case, you may have what's called a stable of 5 to 10 girls who are working and reporting to a command structure. The money flow is going uphill back into the organization.
I'm Constable Janae Norris. I've been with Calgary Police for 1.5 years. Prior to that, I spent 10 years on the Blood Tribe as a police officer. Organized crime groups, they'll come out to the reserve, selling them drugs, and then finding, okay, this is kind of the perfect prey. These drug traffickers can make that much more money by luring them in and then selling them.
There's a lot of ways in which this sick, disgusting world of human trafficking can get from point A to point B. Typically in sex trafficking, the Romeo boyfriend or the love affair where an individual pretends to be in love with someone, spurs a relationship, and then starts down that road of grooming the individual by showering them with things like expensive gifts, providing them essentially things that they're missing in their life, whether that be emotional support, financial stability.
They give them a lifestyle that they haven't had, and they think it's at no cost. That's the deceiving part, is that they think that they're getting this because he loves them.
At that point, if the trafficker can get the person either addicted or hooked or in some type of debt bondage where now they owe them money, well, now they can continue that grooming process of moving into harsher things like sleeping with other men in exchange for drugs, money, etc.
He got us into some big trouble with some very, very dangerous people. In order to save our lives, he exploited me for a short time here in Edmonton in a hotel room off 118th Ave. And he says, if you don't do this, then I'm going to your home to hurt your family.
So that's the Romeo way of being trafficked. The other way is the guerrilla pimp, which essentially is complete force.
Oh my God, it's so sad. Just looking at how many have OD'd, how many have been murdered, how many are missing still, and over 80% in this book by our own people, the Aboriginal gals. We started doing this in 2005. And it was because nobody was meeting the needs of any of them that were being exploited. And we would get them to do a high-risk homicide registry. So we would get any of their scars, any tattoos, pictures of them. We had way too many girls in the game, and the sad part is that so many of them were exploited by their own family members, or else their own boyfriends, or, partners that they had.
It can be anyone. It's sad to say that it could be your partner, your uncle, your parent even.
Many of the victims, they don't even realize that they are a victim. They just think it's, their boyfriend who's, taking care of them. They just think it's just everyday life and it's just what happens. But no, it's not. They're actually exploiting you.
What we're seeing right now on the reserve is the younger generation. We're talking 12, 13 years old who are mostly in the children's service sector, being exploited by their boyfriends or their partner for drugs and alcohol. They are trading sex for survival.
We have a lot of chronic missing persons who will be selected either not just from homes, but group homes and identified as being vulnerable. And they'll be chronic. They'll go missing for 1 or 2 days, come back to the group home. Go missing for a day, come back to the group home. When they show up, all of a sudden they have things that they didn't have before.
The kids in the group homes and foster homes are being trafficked because they're so vulnerable. And the younger they are, the more money they can make off of them. That's the sad reality. The younger, the better. And that's the demand out there with the tricks.
And not just 16 or 18-year-olds, but I'm talking like 12, 13-year-olds, because that is now the target age range is like 13 to 18, not 18 to 25.
It's really happening. There's the dark web. Skilled people that are computer geniuses who can get online, set up a pop-up website and start selling people right now. It's easier to find you, it's easier to get you, it's easier to meet up. It's instant. Even their video games. Everything has a messenger for a stranger to get a hold of you.
Things like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. If you have a young person who is being vulnerable with their emotions, say they're 13 or 14 years old, that is like a perfect example of somebody who would then be targeted by a trafficker and made to feel like they are special and they can turn their life around.
It's a promise of a better life. It's promises of materialistic things that perhaps they don't have. They're missing something, and that's what the predators target.
I'm Christine Cassie. I'm the CEO for the Chinook Sexual Assault Center. Young people are unattended on social media almost 24/7. And we all think we're monitoring what our kids know, but I knew when my son was 8, he knew how to use the parental controls on the TV better than I did. We need to know what they're seeing. We need to know what they have access to.
Come and meet me somewhere. You never meet someone that you don't know in real life. You never do that. And when I go and speak that to people or I go teach youth, they snarl at me, but parents need to be on top of that. You need to know who your child is talking to, and there's a lot of big talks to have there sitting at the table.
like people on the internet, they really do target our Indigenous youth. They really do target us. And if someone finds your Snapchat or Instagram account and you have that same username for all your other social medias, it's really easy to find you. And they'll really try to get in.
Tomorrow, we are holding an event at Galt Gardens. Our initiative to bring awareness to the community about human trafficking, and that we all need to protect one another and to bring this issue to light.
This is sage, and this is charcoal, and this is tobacco, and this is sweetgrass.
This initiative was brought to the Kainai Reserve because of the opioid use, the alcoholism, the legacy of colonization. It just makes us more vulnerable to human trafficking.
You know, they attempted to exterminate the buffalo. You know, kill the buffaloes, starve the Indian, we got their land. And we got all pushed to small reserves. And so with that overcrowding, poverty stepped in, lack of housing. Then you have the overdoses and this human trafficking.
That is why we're here, is that loss of identity through the residential schools, the 60s scoop, you know, the colonization, and then it moves into the homelessness, the addictions. It just makes it so easy for people to exploit them.
The girls who are being trafficked or, you know, having dates set up, essentially you need to look at each one of those interactions or dates as a sexual assault, a very traumatic event. And this is happening day after day for months on end. And they feel like they have no way out.
To bring it out from the dark, we really need to be able to call it out for what it is. Perpetrators who are doing this type of abuse, they actively seek this out. They know what they're doing. And they're making an active choice to exploit or to abuse someone else. Under that cloak of darkness, they get away with it.
For them to try and get out, their controller is not willing to let them go because that's his moneymaker. A lot of them don't want to go back to the community. They have brainwashed them thinking, you know what, if you go back to your family, we're going to harm your family. They're still protective of their family, but yet they're not being protected themselves.
It was horrible. I'm very surprised that I survived what I survived. I thought he was going to kill me, and I was actually saved by the police. They actually saved me. I was so grateful because that was the first time I was free, maybe over a year.
We're in Fort McMurray First Nation. I am the Indigenous liaison with the Wood Buffalo Detachment. We have 5 reserves and 6 Métis communities that we work with. Not only am I a proud member of the RCMP, I'm a proud member from Satellite Cree Nation. This area that I'm in, it's so close to home. So I understand, you know, some of the factors that, you know, we have to deal with. You know, we look back at our history of police. I understand, I get it. When we're trying to look at the whole bigger picture of solving missing or murdered or investigate trafficking, everybody seems to know the information, but people don't want to talk.
So many of the girls, they don't want to do what they're doing. In order to be able to tolerate what they're doing, their addiction increases. And, you know, they start turning to harder drugs. And it's a vicious cycle.
My name is Joanne Packham. I'm the Executive Director of Wood Buffalo Wellness Society. Our society in Fort McMurray serves Mostly an Indigenous population. Our programs are centered around addictions, homelessness, mental health. In 2012, when I started, we were a team of 7 at the treatment center. In 2014, we put in transitional housing into our strategic plan. All of our programs are successful is because they tie into each other. The residents roll into the other programs as it fits.
And it's a traditional role. It's roles that we had in our communities since time immemorial. So to me, it's important to reclaim those roles and to teach our youth.
Kind of going back to those basic needs, making sure that everybody has what they need to live on a daily basis. A roof over their heads and food, and knowing that they're going to be able to sleep at night and be safe. They're able to relax a bit and start actually working on the things that are going to really improve their lives. A lot of it is really working on their wellness, their mental health, and then translating into working on their addictions through that stability.
I come from a community called the Ochis First Nation, and that's just west of Red Deer. My role here is as a spiritual person. My specialty is empowering women through the healing of the sweat lodge. We've gone through so much with colonialism, residential school, losing the language, child welfare, where we lose our kids, and so much trauma, right? We have a lot of grief in us. There's been a lot of death. There's a lot of suicide. I really believe these are the ceremonies that are going to help us. They need to be in a circle where they feel safe. A lot of times it's a lost spirit that, that's been broken over and over and over, and reconnecting them with that.
So what we'll do is once we go in, like I say,
It starts here and we work our way out. I'm just trying to build those connections so that we can work together as a community to help prevent the exploitation of our youth.
A lot of our women and people who are victims don't know where to go, or they've been turned away because of, their stature in the community. That is something we struggle with, not only in the area of human trafficking, but all across the board, that the lack of resources and support available to First Nations and those people that are available to help.
So Ikapaskwa is the Cree word for fireweed. And for me, fireweed is super important in my own healing, and I'll share it a bit in my...
It's been a lot of fighting to actually get the programs that we have gotten, and some of them have come easier and some of them have been absolutely harder.
I had left ceremony when I was young because of my own trauma, and being brought back to that by a community of women was really important to me and really monumental.
We've certainly endured a lot of racism and backlash as we've tried to be able to explain that we need Indigenous ways of thinking and being and doing in order to save our people's lives.
They couldn't leave the game because of the addiction, half of them. And for them that tried to get into treatment, well, it was too long of a wait list half the time. And I mean, there's no sense in putting somebody in treatment because if they're done treatment and there's no housing for them, basically we've set them up for failure. Where are they supposed to go? They go back to the streets. Those girls that were ready to leave the game. And us having to tell them, sorry, we can't get you in. It was a stab to our hearts because we knew that we were just letting them down when they wanted it. They were ready, and yet we couldn't produce what they needed. Unfortunately, we could probably start a new binder more.
The systems that our government has set up for the last 150 years have failed. There's just have failed. So why in the world would we keep perpetuating these same systems that have fallen short? The decision makers need to step aside and let us do what we know in our hearts, how to run things, how to deliver programs, how to build community, how to build safe spaces. Indigenous healing, Indigenous programs belong with Indigenous people.
We need to help the women that are reaching out, whether it's treatment centers like this place or whatever, and making that help available, whether it comes from different funding sources or anything like that. But it should not be a competition. We should all be working together to make this a better society or better community.
In order for all of us to help each other, we all need to be on the same page. Whether it's the community, the health center, mental health, we're all silos, and that's how we've been working for these years. We've got to knock down those silos and start working together. It's being in the community and getting to know who your community partnerships are. It's important for the police to have those partnerships so we know who to call and who we can continue to work with.
Our techniques have to change. The way we find them have to change to be able to say, like, hey, we are safe people. Can you come chat with us when you find out intelligence, suspicious vehicles coming to the same spot on First Nation communities? Or is there someone that's suspicious that's coming in that's not from the community? So it's a lot of work for police officers and for the community to kind of all tie in together to bring that to light.
A cold day doesn't even bother them. A blizzard can come. They're still going to survive. That is the energy I'm talking about. They don't fear nothing. And so as human people, we should not fear of investigating, interrogating. So stop that man, confiscate those vehicles, charge those people, and cracking these silent networks. We have to go beyond than just stamping our feet at home. And that's the courage I connected with the buffalo. Hey, Nick, give us that courage and that wisdom, that foresight, how to stop this.
We all need to take responsibility. And I mean, that's leadership, that's community, that's agencies, that's the government. So everybody needs to take ownership to be able to get those dollars, to be able to fund programming for them, long term. And it has to be available immediately.
Robin and what she's building here, and she's working with community members, she's working with other departments, she's setting up awareness campaigns, she's bringing the culture into it, she's bringing the healing aspect. Our hopes is to bring all these departments and entities together on the nation and be tied into that network of help. We're bringing awareness to the community. There is help out there. There is a place for you to go and somebody who will help you get out of your situation or help you navigate it.
What we're seeing is that people are targeting our young and they take them off the reserve, and some are never seen again. We need to step up as a community, as people, and reconnect together. We need to put a stop to it.